Just 6 hours ago, an Iranian colonel led 30 fast-attack speedboats at a single American destroyer. One target. Inside his blockade, he gave the attack order. The swarm split 3 ways. Colonel raised his binoculars toward the American bridge. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. Whatever order he was about to give died on his tongue. Right now, Strait of Hormuz. Iran has shut the strait. This is the route 20% of the world's oil takes to get to your gas pump. Tehran has decided no oil leaves until Tehran says so. Washington responded the way Washington usually responds, with a destroyer. The argument is being delivered by a single Arleigh Burke-class guided missile destroyer. 9,000 tons of pain. Vertical launch cells deep enough to ruin every navy between here and Russia. And it is sailing through the blockade like the sign said instead, "Please enter." The colonel is 12 miles south. He sees one ship on his radar. He grins. He has been waiting for this since 1988, when the United States Navy turned the IRGC fleet into a coral reef in the span of 8 hours during Operation Praying Mantis. He is here to even the score. 30 fast attack boats. Each one is 50 feet of fiberglass with a machine gun bolted to the deck and a man with a grudge behind the wheel. This is the current IRGC Navy. On a good day, they are a serious tactical headache. On a bad day, they are more like jet ski rental with delusions of being a military. Today, they think it is a good day. Iranian doctrine is simple. You cannot shoot what you cannot see. And one destroyer cannot see and shoot in 30 directions at once, so you swarm it. You come from every angle. You make its targeting computers cry. You overwhelm it with motion until you get through and bored. This is the IRGC's version of military tactics. But honestly, you could find better tactics on YouTube. It is a go time. All boats, 3-prong attack pattern. Speed 30 knots. Engage. The swarm splits. 12 boats left, 12 boats right. 6 in the center column with the colonel in the lead. He is in command. He is in front. He wants the Iranian cameras to see him personally pierce an American destroyer. Iranian state media has positioned a film crew at the breakwater of his home port. They were told to be ready for a victorious return at noon. The boats hit 30 knots. Salt spray flies. The colonel checks his stopwatch. At this rate, his lead boat is inside the destroyer's minimum range in 4 minutes. 4 minutes. That is all he needs. He looks at the destroyer. The destroyer is not turning. The destroyer is not slowing. The destroyer is not even bothering to acknowledge him on the open frequency. This is wonderful news, the colonel thinks. The Americans are scared. The Americans are paralyzed. Viewer, the Americans are not scared. Americans have doctrine called LAMPS III. What it actually means in plain English is 2 helicopters in the air on purpose at the same time. The IRGC briefings do not include LAMPS III. The IRGC briefing included only things that could be found about the destroyer on Wikipedia. Both of the helicopters have been holding 10 miles ahead of the destroyer. Engines warm, Hellfires loaded, pilots bored. Door gunner reading a paperback. A romance novel. He is on chapter 12. Seahawks get the order at 0612 local. By 0613, first has visual on the swarm. By 0614, the door gunner has set down his book. By 0615, 8 Hellfire missiles are off the rails. The lead boats of the left column do not see them coming. The trailing boats of the left column see them very clearly, because the lead boats stop blocking the view. The left column ceases to function as a fighting formation in 20 seconds. 8 fast attack craft become 8 floating clouds of fiberglass and prayer. The right column hesitates. Hesitation is, as it turns out, a fatal piece of seamanship. The colonel stares at the explosions. He keys his radio. Status! Status! Where are you guys? There is no answer. There is no answer because his radio frequency has been overrun by 12 junior officers screaming questions on top of each other on the same channel. The IRGC manual calls this spirited communications discipline. Americans call it panic. He looks at the destroyer. The destroyer is in the same place. The destroyer's bow is at the same heading. He has lost a third of his force in less than half a minute, and the American ship has not moved 1 degree. A growing suspicion enters the colonel's brain. The Americans are not, in fact, scared. But he still has 22 boats, more than enough to board the destroyer, and the helicopter is out of ammunition. This is even better, more glory for him. He still has the right column, he still has the center. He gives the order to push through. Forward, maximum speed, all weapons free. The right column accelerates, and then the explosions start coming, but from the wrong direction. From in front of him, from the deep water side of the strait, from a horizon that, until exactly 7 seconds ago, contained nothing but waves and the faint smell of regret. A second Seahawk lifts into view 10 feet above the water, 15 miles out. The colonel stares at it the way a man stares at his electricity bill in 2026. 6 more Hellfires come off the rails. 6 more boats become driftwood. The right column joins the left column in the brand new category of things that recently used to exist. The colonel's lead boat is now the closest fast-moving mass to the American destroyer. He has 6 boats left, including his own. He is in front of all of them. This is the part where the colonel makes a tactical error. The error is being the closest fast-moving mass to the American destroyer. The Aegis combat system on the destroyer has rules about this. The rules are short, anything fast, anything closing, anything inside a specific distance. That goes on the list of things that get to stop existing. The colonel's boat is fast, closing, and well inside that distance. He is, technically, 3 for 3 for the Aegis removal list. The Phalanx CIWS swivels. The Phalanx CIWS does not need permission from a human. The Phalanx CIWS was designed to shoot down anti-ship missiles traveling at Mach 2. For a 50-foot speedboat doing 30 knots, the Phalanx CIWS is overqualified the way a chainsaw is overqualified to butter your toast. The CIWS opens up 3,000 tungsten rounds per minute for 1 full second. Even Russians would be impressed with the damage. The colonel's boat ceases to be a boat. It becomes confetti. The colonel himself is launched sideways by the first pressure wave. He is lucky. He hits the water at a speed his therapist will be hearing about for the next decade. His life vest inflates. His radio is gone. His command boat is, at this point, jewelry-sized debris floating across an area roughly the size of a Costco parking lot. He treads water. He spits salt. He looks at the destroyer. The destroyer is in the same place. The bow is at the same heading. The American ship has not slowed by a single knot. A junior officer on the bridge logs the engagement in the ship's record. The summary reads, in its entirety, auto. That is the whole entry. The ocean quickly swallows the few bits that survived the tungsten cloud. Within 30 seconds, there was absolutely no proof a boat had ever been there, except for a wet man in a life jacket wondering why he was suddenly outdoors. The remaining IRGC boats decide they would like to be elsewhere. This is not a coordinated retreat. This is 10 individual captains discovering, separately and at the same time, that they have absolutely zero interest in a military any longer. They scatter. A few flee toward international waters, which is hilarious, considering the entire reason they were in the strait was to keep international waters out of the strait. 2 boats just stop where they are and shut off their engines. This is the maritime equivalent of playing dead, but it does not work on Americans. It does not need to. The Seahawks were not after individual boats. The Seahawks were after a doctrine. The doctrine has been retired. The destroyer steams through, right through where the swarm used to be. Same heading, same speed. The wake closes over the wreckage behind it. The colonel, in his life vest, watches the most expensive thing he has ever seen pass within a mile of his face. The destroyer's foghorn lets out one long blast as it goes by. Polite, almost cheerful, like the destroyer is a school bus and the colonel is a dog that wandered into the road. A U.S. Navy RHIB peels off the back of the destroyer. It is a rigid, inflatable boat, lightweight, high performance, and durable. 2 sailors at the bow, 1 Marine at the stern, in dress utilities, holding a clipboard. The American rescue team brought a clipboard. For a man who has just spent 40 minutes in salt water trying not to inhale his own beard. They pull him out of the water, they hand him a towel. The towel is embroidered with the destroyer's name and the words, "Welcome aboard." They hand him a bottle of soda. The soda bottle is plastic, American, and exactly the kind of thing the colonel has spent his entire career claiming represents the moral decay of the West. He is too thirsty to refuse it. The Marine checks off a box on his clipboard. He hands the clipboard and a pen to the dripping, shivering colonel. He politely asks the colonel to rate his rescue experience on a scale of 1 to 5. He adds that anything less than a 5 reflects poorly on the boat crew. The rescue boat accelerates. They do not take him to his home port. They take him to the coordinates, where 2 of his fast attack boats had shut off their engines and played dead. The 2 Iranian boats are still there. They are bobbing in the swells. The crews are laying down, hoping the Americans have forgotten about them. The RHIB pulls alongside the nearest Iranian boat. The Iranian sailors freeze. They wait for machine gun fire. Instead, the colonel lands on the fiberglass deck of his own surviving boat. The Marine leans over. He hands the colonel a written invoice. "Bill for the towing fee and the soda," the Marine says. "Payable within 30 days." The RHIB turns around and speeds back toward the destroyer. The colonel sits on the deck of the boat. His junior officers stare at him. He stares at them. There is no glory. There is only a wet man holding a bill for American soda. The next morning, U.S. Naval Public Affairs releases the combat log entry. Lost and found. 1 IRGC officer recovered. Returned to remaining functional assets. Invoice pending.